It's a number so big, so staggering, that it almost defies belief. When you first hear it, you might think it's a mistake, a misprint, or maybe an exaggeration. But it's real. It almost doesn't feel real, but the consequences were painfully tangible for millions. Imagine the entire population of a large country, families, friends, neighbors, waking up to find their savings gone overnight. That's the scale of MMM. It wasn't just a local disaster, it was a financial earthquake felt around the world. This wasn't a small scam, it was a global phenomenon, reaching into cities and villages on nearly every continent. MMM, in its many forms, tricked tens of millions. It didn't matter where you lived or what language you spoke. Some say up to 40 million people in over 100 countries were caught in its web, their hopes and dreams tied to a promise that would never come true. That's more than the population of Canada. Imagine every single Canadian losing everything at once. These were regular people, teachers, farmers, factory workers, ordinary folks who simply wanted a better future for themselves and their families. The original MMM collapsed in Russia in the 1990s, shattering lives and trust in the system. But it didn't end there. Like a virus, it kept coming back, spreading across Asia, Africa, and South America, adapting to new environments and new victims. Each time it found new believers, evolving with the rise of the internet and social media, making it easier than ever to reach the next hopeful crowd. MMM became a symbol of hope for some, not just a failed Russian scheme, but a movement that promised a way out of poverty. The brand promised community and financial freedom, but in the end, it left heartbreak, broken trust, and empty bank accounts. Remember that number, 40 million. It's not just a statistic, it's a warning. This isn't just a story about a scam. It's about human nature, our desire for shortcuts, and the risks we're willing to take for a chance at a better life. It's a cautionary tale that played out worldwide, leaving financial ruin and shattered dreams in its wake. Understanding how this happened helps us spot the warning signs. Let's dig in and learn from the past so we don't repeat it. Let's break it down. What is a pyramid scheme? At its core, it's a crooked business model built on recruiting people, not selling products. New members pay to join, and that money goes to those above them. The top makes the most, while the bottom loses out. There's usually no real product, just the promise of easy money if you recruit others. It sounds simple, but it's mathematically doomed. Each level needs more recruits than the last. Eventually, you run out of people. When recruitment slows, the money dries up, and the scheme collapses. The last to join lose everything, while the founders walk away rich. It preys on trust and destroys communities. Pyramid schemes are unsustainable and built on deception. It's not an investment, it's a trap. Don't fall for it. Every story like this has a main character, someone whose vision, twisted or not, drives the entire plot forward, shaping the fate of millions. For MMM, that person was Sergei Mavrodi, a name that would soon become infamous across Russia and beyond. Mavrodi started out as a mathematician and programmer, a man fascinated by numbers and systems. But in the chaos of post-Soviet Russia, he saw an opportunity to rewrite the rules. He promised ordinary Russians a way out of economic chaos, using bold marketing and relentless TV ads that made MMM a household name almost overnight. MMM issued its own shares, just paper, but people believed they'd double or triple in value. The dream of easy money was irresistible, and soon crowds lined up to buy in. At its peak, MMM took in millions of rubles every single day. The scale was staggering, and the frenzy swept across the country. Mavrodi even got himself elected to parliament, seeking immunity from prosecution as the authorities closed in. To some, he was a folk hero, a rebel who challenged a broken system and gave hope to the desperate. But in 1994, the government finally shut him down. The collapse was catastrophic. Millions lost everything, their dreams shattered overnight. After serving time in prison, Mavrodi wasn't finished. He reinvented MMM for the internet age, launching MMM 2011 and MMM Global, targeting new victims worldwide. He operated from the shadows, releasing cryptic video messages and building a cult-like following until his death in 2018. Mavrodi was brilliant, audacious, and deeply flawed, a man who built an empire on promises and whose ambition left a trail of devastation. His schemes kept evolving, but the outcome was always the same: collapse, heartbreak, and a lesson the world keeps forgetting. MMM's genius was making everything feel simple and personal. It called itself a mutual aid fund, not an investment. You'd sign up, offer to help someone, and transfer money directly to another member. No central account, just peer-to-peer transfers, making it hard to track or shut down. Your money became Mavros, growing at 30% per month, at least on the website. You could watch your balance rise daily, creating a powerful illusion of progress. After a few weeks, you could request your money back, plus the promised growth. Recruitment was heavily incentivized. Bring in others, get bonuses, climb the ranks. The pyramid structure was disguised as team building. Members posted videos and testimonials showing off their winnings. This social proof convinced others to join. The system felt like a community, but it was a trap. The more you believed, the deeper you got pulled in. For millions, MMM wasn't just about money, it was about hope. In places with few opportunities, it promised a way out. Imagine struggling to pay for your child's education or medical bills, then hearing about MMM from someone you trust. The pitch was simple: help someone today, get 30% more next month. It sounded like a helping hand, not a risky investment. MMM's message was tailored to each country, sold as a revolution against unfair banks. The marketing tapped into real frustrations and dreams. People saw neighbors buying new things, paying off debts, starting businesses. The dream was so powerful, it made people ignore the red flags. 30% monthly returns are impossible, but desperation makes miracles believable. People invested not just money, but their hopes for a better life. For many, it was worth the risk, until it wasn't. Every MMM pyramid was destined to collapse. The end came suddenly. One day, everything worked. The next, it was gone. The trigger? A slowdown in new members. When payouts exceeded new investments, the math failed. The first sign: pause mode. Withdrawals frozen. Blame shifted to media or regulators. Members were urged to stay calm and keep providing help, but it was just stalling. Soon, the website vanished. Balances disappeared. Leaders stopped answering calls. With no central company, victims had nowhere to turn. The top walked away insulated, while the rest lost everything. The aftermath was devastating. Debts, lost property, broken trust. Communities turned on each other. In some places, there were riots and even suicides. The promise of a better life evaporated overnight. All that remained was financial and emotional wreckage. The real stories came after the collapse: quiet desperation, lives upended. These are the stories that rarely get told, the ones that unfold in silence, behind closed doors and drawn curtains. When the dust settled, it wasn't just numbers that vanished, but dreams, futures, and a sense of security. David, a schoolteacher, dreamed of sending his daughter to university. He worked late nights, saved every spare ruble, and believed that MMM was his chance to finally give her the future she deserved. He invested his savings and borrowed more, only to lose it all when MMM crashed. The hope he once had was replaced by a heavy burden of guilt and uncertainty. Mary, a single mother, put her small savings into MMM, hoping for a better month. She imagined buying her son a new winter coat, maybe even a birthday cake. She lost everything before she could withdraw a cent. The promise of a brighter tomorrow slipped away in an instant, leaving only worry and regret. For the wealthy, these losses might seem small, a setback, not a disaster. They had other investments, other safety nets. For people like Mary, it was catastrophic. It meant empty cupboards, unpaid bills, and sleepless nights. The emotional toll was as severe as the financial loss: shame, regret, and broken trust. Families argued, relationships strained, and self-worth crumbled. Friends who recruited friends became enemies. The community vanished overnight, leaving behind a void where support and connection once lived. These stories rarely make headlines, but they're the true legacy of MMM. The pain and loss ripple quietly through neighborhoods and families. Behind every letter of happiness was a story of heartbreak. For every person who claimed to win, dozens more suffered in silence. The victims weren't greedy. They were hopeful, desperate, and trusting. They believed in each other, in promises, and in the possibility of change. The pain lingered long after the scheme disappeared. The scars were real, etched into memories and daily struggles, and they're not easily forgotten. The echoes of those losses still shape lives today, a reminder of how hope can be both a gift and a risk. Why did so many fall for MMM? Social proof. Seeing friends, family, and respected leaders join made it hard to doubt. Early participants really did get paid, becoming walking advertisements. Their success stories created an illusion of legitimacy. MMM framed itself as a movement against corrupt banks, making critics seem like enemies. This us versus them mentality was powerful, especially for those feeling left behind. Desperation played a huge role. When you're struggling, hope is easy to sell. The organizers understood this psychology perfectly. They weren't just selling a scheme, they were selling hope, and hope for many was irresistible. That's why so many believed. So, what's the lesson? If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. No investment can safely deliver 30% returns every month. That's a mathematical impossibility. If the only revenue is new members paying old ones, it's a pyramid scheme, no matter what it's called. The language may change, but the outcome is always collapse. Real financial education is the best defense. We need to teach ourselves and our communities how money really works. The MMM saga is a tough lesson in greed, hope, and deception. The best protection is knowledge and skepticism. Thanks for watching. There's always more to the story.